Hello, my name is Lamerck, and welcome to the Naval Sports League. For our first-time watchers, the Naval Sports League, or NSL, is the ultimate naval competition in the game of Holdfast Nations at War. League battles are simple. Two teams, each led by a single admiral, pilot 5 large capital ships and 2 small support boats with the goal of sinking as many capital ships as they can within 35 minutes. Whoever sinks the most wins, and if there's a tie, we decide the winner by overall score. Teams consist of anywhere between 20 to 40 players, and the league provides mercenaries to balance out any number disparities between the teams. Every player in the league, be they a team player or a mercenary, is competing hard for end of season awards and accolades. Every battle will take place on a randomly chosen map with randomly chosen wind direction. Both of these factors mean that no two battles will ever be the same. The league lasts for 9 months, from late February to November, with 3 games a month for you to enjoy. Once that main season is over, the top 3 teams of the league will duke it out to determine who wins the champion's crown. The NSL is a collection of Holdfast's most talented admirals, officers, and crews, and the tactical gameplay you'll see here is at a higher level than anything else this game has to offer. We hosts and co-hosts will be here for the entire battle to help you understand the decisions and strategies you will see play out in the NSL Coliseum. So, without further ado, let's get to the pre-game coverage. I am joined today by Baboof, a veteran host of the NSL. How are you today, Baboof?
Great. Good to be back again. Happy to be back in the host seat and talk a
We
little
have
bit about some hold fast naval combat.
we have an exciting one today. 2 very talented teams in the Krakens and the Marines. Let's get first, before we get into the matchup today, let's go over league standings. We'll start by taking a look at all the different teams and their league placements. We have the Leviathans on top with a 4-0 record, 61,603 points, a very sizable lead here, I think it would be safe to say. The Krakens at number 2, basically been holding strong there for quite some time now with a 2-1 and a 13,000 plus points differential. SCP-38 also at a very strong number 3 with a 2-1 record. The Marines, who will be competing today with a 1-2, looking to change that and crack open into the top 3. Royal Black Fleet 1-3, and the Jackals 1-4 with a negative 42,000 point differential. So Jackals have a lot of catching up to do. Royal Black Fleet and the Marines really want to punch up and get to those top 3 as soon as they can possibly do so. But Boof, I'm going to turn it over to you for the player leaderboard. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the movement that we've been seeing amongst the individual players in the league?
All right. So, Spicy Paper, to no one's surprise, is still up top. That's the SCP player. He's a force to be reckoned with. We have a KRN player in second place. KRN's got a lot of solid players.
Yeah.
Who's gone up? Yeah, they do. I mean, they've got a very deep bench. That's what makes them one of the strongest teams. Then we have Shadows moved up from our team, from the Leviathan. So good for him. And
Go
then
Shadow.
there you go, Shadow. Next one, another SCP player, another guy I played with before, B Bobby. Another a real weapon. And then we have, rounding out, another KRN player. There are just a lot of those guys. There's a lot of them.
I think we're going to see a lot more after today, by the way.
I could definitely see we'll see. We could see some more. I think last time actually were 3 KRN players on the board, and that could easily change back today.
They tend to be overrepresented in the top 5. So and as well they should. They're really good. They have some really really good players.
Yeah,
all right, let's jump over to the next slide, these side by side, and introduce our teams today and the admirals. So we have the KRN, as we call them, the Krakens. And we have the Marines. The KRN is a solid single team. It is the KRN, which is a single unit. And the Marines are a combination of 3 different regiments in Holdfast. But today they are being led by the 1st RM's Kieran's, whereas the Krakens are being led by Killer Bogai, who is a kind of mainstay senior admiral, and he's been putting together some really good matches for them.
Last 3. Yeah, this is the 3rd match in a row that he's now hoping to win.
And he's only lost to the Leviathan so far. And
no, that was a different admiral, though. I'm sorry, I can't remember, but it was a different admiral. It wasn't Killer Bogai.
Yeah, no, the admiral when they fought the Leviathans was somebody else. I do know that. I think Killer Bogai is basically responsible for their victories so far.
They brought him in after 2 weak matches. They brought in Killer Bogai as their top captain, put him in charge, and so far it's worked out for them.
Yeah.
Um,
So the matchup here is 2-1 on the season record, and the Marines are 1-2. Their all-time matchups are 0-0. So this is the first time that these two teams, as they are formulated now, are going to fight in the NSL. So that's really exciting. These are two teams I've been very excited to see go head-to-head, to be honest. Let's talk about the top players. On the Krakens, we have Verda, Wupas, and Grice. And on the Marines, we have Esbjornson, Vex, and Count Chocula. These are extremely great players. And of course, the ones to watch. Scorrigan on the Krakens. And if we have him here at Chewy of Troy, I put him on there. He's their other admiral in the Marines. He's not only just a great admiral, he's a great captain and a great player. We love to see Chewy. I don't know if he's actually going to be here today, to be honest. But if he
find
is,
out.
we'll find out, and he will be the one to watch. All
Mm.
right, so what we like to do here is I like to make a case for each of these teams, why we think they're going to win. I will start with the Krakens. The Krakens are kind of the easier one to make a case for as the win. They are securely the second team in the league. I mean, unless they're going against the Leviathans, it's usually not a particularly close battle for the Krakens. They are a very strong team. They have a deep bench of talent, like you said earlier, Baboof. They have captains who knows what they're doing. And Killer Bow Guy, they have an admiral who can win games. And in a general sense, they're just the they are the second team in the league. And I think they're fully capable of punching up and dethroning the Leviathans. They just have not yet. But the Krakens have it all. Um, so it's very easy to make the case for them as today's victors, and it will be an upset for sure if the Marines beat them today. And Babu, how do you think that the Marines could? What
I
factors
mean,
are in their favor?
they're definitely the underdog. But I'd say that the Krakens, if they have one weakness, is that they sometimes, once they get in their groove, they do get a little bit overconfident. You
Yeah.
saw that against the RBF. I mean,
Hmm.
different admiral it was. But there they just sort of stormed in thinking this would be an easy, this would be an easy victory, and they got their ass handed to them.
You talking about
If
preseason?
the Yes, that was the
That
preseason. Of
one of the
course, it's a
last
little
battles
bit
of the
different, but
preseason.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
but still a huge loss for the Krakens.
Yeah, it was, and then they lost to us, and they had a bit of a soul searching moment, and brought in Killer Bow Guy, and now been doing well. Uh, the Marines they have had a bit of a harder time here. They had they had to reform their team, and the kind of marriage of these two other teams has been a little bit less smooth than they maybe wanted. They've had a bit of a rotation of different admirals in charge, but I do think they are still good for surprise. They've always been good um, at surprising their enemies, especially when they used to be called the Sea Wolves. I definitely think they have potential in them, and they really do feel like they have their back to the wall. They really have something to prove, right? The
Yeah,
KRN are basically smooth sailing at this point. Like they're pretty much like I'm not too afraid of them not getting in the top three, but the Marines really, really have something to prove today.
yeah,
So if now then when, right? Like
yeah.
they really have to get some W's on the board.
Agreed. All right, let's quickly move on to the map preview before this match actually starts to take a look at where the wind direction is going to be, because I think that's going to show why this is such a hard win
Yeah.
scenario for the Marines. With the wind being southeast, which is diagonally down towards the right, it is going to be blowing in the face of the Marines. This is also a map that the Krakens have both won and lost on, I think. So they have a
Yes,
lot of
yes, yes.
experience, right? We beat them on this. The Leviathans
Basically,
beat
we're in
them
the
on this map.
Kraken's position, and the Marines went downwind. They went, what would that
Right.
be, northwest, and got destroyed by us. And then the
Yeah.
other one, yeah, the Krakens went the outside, and the RBF sort of charged right
Just
into them,
charged in
into
kind of
their guns,
suicidally.
which was a
Uh,
very fun thing to watch. But
it was fun, but
well,
not a good
I
not
was
a good
I was
battle
in the
for.
front. I was on the RBF 13 gun, so I just got blown to bits.
Oh my god, I can
Uh,
only imagine.
it's ridiculous. Honestly,
um,
if they, sorry, it's an aside, but if the RBF had actually not put their 13 guns in the front and put some 8 guns as a screen, I think that actually could have maybe worked. But yeah,
yeah,
that's
we could
like
definitely. I mean, I think there's a lot of. I think I have so many battles to cover in the next ward room, and that will be one of them.
yeah,
And of
that was a
course,
great,
that will be.
yeah, but that one if they screen, sorry, listen aside, but I think it is possible to do things like that. You just have to be, you have to get it right. But yeah,
Now,
it's a
for
difficult map
about
for the Marines.
today, I think the Marines are gonna have to bring the back. They're gonna have to do the sort of waste the wind strategy with the Krakens. They need the Krakens to get to kind of go far across the map, utilize that great wind that they have, and then like kind of use it. And when we talk about, we're talking about wasting our wind, right? Like, so the Krakens are going to have the wind in their advantage to cross the map and get to the Marines wherever the Marines end up setting up, because they're going to set up very slowly, and the Krakens are going to be very quick in getting there. What the Marines need to do is they need the Krakens to head from west to east and not get an advantage over the Marines, right? So
Yeah.
they have to be defensively minded. They have to think of a way to just not let the Krakens get an advantage over them. And then slowly, the Marines have to bring themselves to like the northwest so that then they have the ability to use the wind around the mid game. If they do something like that, they're going to have a really possible path to victory. The problem with the Krakens is that they know this, and they're going to probably do whatever they can to pressure the Marines into making mistakes so that they can get around behind them and use that wind that they're going to have.
Yeah, the Marines have to surprise them somehow. And the thing is, they're at the disadvantage of not having played this map before. Um, but they have to sort of do a rug pull on the Krakens and do something unexpected. This is a good map to do it, because there are a lot of nooks and crannies and different ways to approach it. So it's definitely an unusual map in that way. So there is a possibility, but it's
I
going to be
agree.
very. They have to think of something really smart, honestly. And well, hopefully they have. I mean, I'm sure they've got some plan.
I mean, I'm sure they do. The, I mean, we are going to see. I mean, in the end, it is about these gut decisions in the moment. And
Yeah, that's
what
why I was bringing up the RBF match. It wasn't just reminiscing, but like they did surprise the KRN. Just didn't really work out in the way they hoped. But if they can pull a fast one on the Krakens, like they could do it. That's the only way I can really see them
surprise has to be
surprise
mixed
them.
with timing in
Yeah,
this kind of battle, because they definitely like I there's no question that what the RBF did with the Krakens was not what the Krakens expected to happen. But
yeah,
by the
'cause it was
time that the RBF got to the Krakens really did
yeah,
expect what was going to happen, and they were set up perfectly for it.
yeah
And
they were.
so it's a matter of surprising your enemy without giving them a tremendous amount of time to regroup and reform to absorb whatever attack you're throwing at them. And that's the difference between doing something crazy that's never going to work and doing something innovative and exciting that can get under your opponent's skin and get them to
Yeah,
start making mistakes. Because in the end of the day, a lot of these admirals really do understand the basic tactics that dominate this naval game, which is, utilizing the wind for your advantage, making sure that you're in a good range from your opponent, offsetting the 13 gun so that it's not too strong or it
that's
doesn't have too much pressure against it.
the
But
most important.
yeah, that's a huge one. But the real trick is to get your opponent to make a mistake. Because if both teams do not pressure each other, then neither team makes a mistake and it's left up to the gunners to just shoot better. But I really think this is a situation in which the Marines are going to have to get the Krakens afraid of their power, and they do
Yeah,
have it. I mean, it wasn't my job to strongman the or whatever steelman the Marines, but if I were, I would say that the Marines do have the capacity to rain hell on an opponent. They have good
absolutely. They're
cannoneers.
killers.
You know, I
They are
know that the
killers.
Marines are good, and I know that the 77th, which they proved in the preseason, are one of the top cannoneering teams in the league. The question is, can their captains and their admiral not put them in a situation where they're picked apart piecemeal? Because that seems to be what happens here. All right, we have the all sail. We have a little bit of time to still chit chat, Baboof, as we start to see these guys in their opening maneuvers.
It's a slow game, folks. It's not the
Yeah,
fastest.
it unfolds slowly. Now, remember,
Yeah,
folks,
I think.
southeast wind. That's
Yeah,
diagonally downwards if you're looking at the overhead view. So yeah,
let's
what are
see
you
the
thinking?
opening moves. I mean, if I was the Marines, I'd pick some kind of defensive position and try and get the KRN to lose patience and march in. But it's hard to say. I mean, if you're the KRN, I mean, I would just go in the ring and then go to the north side and just take that dominant position and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm
Honestly,
sure
but
they're probably pretty inspired by their defeat here against the Leviathans to charge in, get a formation set up before the enemy
yeah,
can. Um, I'm hearing a report that we have double gunboats for both teams, so that's an interesting start. And what you would sort of expect. It
The
seems that
Karen are not taking the most northerly channel there, so that might indicate they're not going as aggressively north as they might.
the
They might be
Marines are
going towards the
heading
middle.
Marines are heading directly against the wind. This is
Yes,
a
they're not going
very,
anywhere fast.
very dangerous maneuver.
I
And
mean, it indicates to me they're setting up defense. They want to be defensive. They might actually just camp their spawn. Honestly,
I wouldn't blame them for doing
it's
so.
not a bad. Honestly, not a bad tactic because any direction the Karen they want to come is going to be difficult.
Yeah,
They
because
might just
of the choke points between islands, right? So, like, let's say the
yeah
Krakens, they go into the center and then they actually invade the Marines' spawn, right? To do so, they're going to have to go through one of three very predictable choke points, at which point
yeah.
the Marines can just hammer them for that. The question is that what the Marines are thinking? That's what we're thinking. That's what
That's what we're thinking. Yeah.
that's us at 1,000 feet in the air and experienced captains and admirals. That's what we're thinking. But what are they thinking? Because if you do that, if you go northwest, the Krakens have the opportunity to use their wind and cut behind that fleet in a way
Yeah,
that would
I
be
was just saying
devastating
that.
for the
Like, look,
Marines.
they're going nowhere. I mean, remember the Seawolves match against the RBF, where the RBF spent half with the Seawolves sailed around the whole map, and the RBF was just sitting in the channel.
And then
Like,
they
they could do
and then they
that.
met and they got crushed.
Yeah, they got crushed. That could happen here, but we're just. But they're. I mean, the Marines are going nowhere in a hurry. They got a
Yeah,
nice.
I like what the Marines are doing right now. To be honest with you,
I don't
they
like. I don't
are.
like the. I don't like the 13 in the front, but that just might be what
It might
got
be.
to be.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think the Marines have to just completely resist the urge to go inside this ring. They've
Yeah,
got to
no,
stay
I think
outside the ring.
it's a very good idea. I think that's what they're setting up to do, and just daring
They're
the
trying to
Karen to
claim
come
the
to
wind
them.
advantage, and they're doing it by going directly against the wind. The Krakens are not going fast enough here.
I'm
I
surprised
think
they didn't take that top channel to Karen. I think that might have been a mistake. They would be slightly more forward if they'd done that.
I think the
But we'll
question is
see.
do the Krakens turn left here, which is to say north, right?
I
And
wouldn't if I were.
go.
Then we'd have the RBF Krakens match in reverse. Honestly.
I don't think they would charge. I
But,
think they would just set up. Because think
all
about
right.
this, okay? You're the Marines. You're heading northwest right now. As soon as they have this egress, which I'm gonna actually draw. Let's get my crayon out here. Right.
Can't see
So
it.
yeah, I know you have to. You have to look at the stream. You're the Marines, you have this right now. You can go here if you want to, but once you choose not to, and you go here, there is nowhere in this area that you can escape from, right? So you are basically stuck in this route. If these guys come through here and just set up, they can fire at you, and if you're the Marines and you're somewhere in this area, there's nowhere to go, and you're dead against the wind. So this could be very dangerous. What I'm seeing from right now from the Krakens, you can see the lack of sail power here.
Oh,
They're
they're
letting
slowing.
the
Yeah.
Marines go here, and I think they're going to jet this way. That's my prediction. Is they're going
I'm,
to let
I'm
the
trying to pull
Marines.
up your stream here. I'm not that fast.
All right, go ahead and see if you
Yeah,
can
I'm trying to
take a look at my
find
stream,
it.
because I think you may agree. The Marines, they seem to be heading in this trajectory. Oh no, the Krakens are going to meet them here. So this is where we're going to see the battle. We're going to see the battle right around here, and the Krakens are going to get there first. I mean, there's no way they don't.
They will.
The wind is perfect for them to do that. So we will see what happens. I think this is going to be a pretty standard battle. If I were the Krakens, I would break a ship off. I would break that rear ship off, and I would send it.
I think that big island is too big. I mean, I think that island is just so gigantic that ship will just end up kind of lost and on its own. I think.
Yeah, but again, the Marines are going nowhere fast. It's very slow.
Yeah,
And the Marines
honestly,
are already
if I was
beginning
the
to set
Dragons,
up.
I'd probably go and I'd probably turn right, honestly, but it's not what they want to do. But we'll see how the RBF sets up now because they really don't have a lot of room
Not
to
RBF.
maneuver. I mean, if
you
they
mean Marines.
sorry
You
the
mean
Marines, sorry,
Marines.
if they
We've been
turn
talking about
right,
RBF so much.
no, yeah, well because this just reminds me of some of their matches.
Oh, it's the same map. So
But
Marines are setting
yeah,
up defense. You can see the Marines setting up defense.
yeah, they
here.
are. They are. So they might just pull up and shoot it out, and then we'll see who's the better shot, I guess, and
I'll
who
be
has
honest,
the next setup.
I would do a hard starboard turn as Krakens right now. Take the whole fleet, cut around behind them. It would be brutal.
Yeah, I would have done that too, honestly, because why not? But it seems like they're. I mean, what do you do as the Marines now? Because their position is kind of odd.
They're leaving.
At this
Actually,
point.
the Marines are.
It looks
retreating.
like they're leaving. Yeah,
They're saying this is not where we want this fight to go.
Oh, and the Krakens are.
They're
doing
turning
what
starboard.
You suggested? I think is that friendship gonna make that turn? Let's see.
He's probably gonna switch to like last in the line.
Yeah, sure.
This is
Probably
actually
right,
now no longer a good move for the Krakens because
now
of the
it's
Marines
too
retreat.
late.
If the Marines had set up for a battle, so here let's again. Let me get my crayon out here.
Oh,
so
he
let's
made
say
the turn. He made the turn.
Marines set up here with the idea to fire in this direction. Then for the Krakens to cut behind would be great because this position leaves this flank open, the rear open here. But now with the Marines kind of setting up here, to go in this way is very dangerous and gets you a lot of flack that you don't really want. So let's just keep an eye on how this develops. But this is an interesting one, and the Marines have done a very good job of not letting the Krakens dictate the pace of this battle. The Marines are dictating the pace of this battle, and that is something that you really want.
Now they're both in good positions. I mean,
they're in good wind. They're both in good wind.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, if the Marines now storm ahead and then take the third channel there, if they turn right at that one, that would be a good move. I think.
I think that they would not be able to get through it in time. I think they would find
probably
that
not.
Would be
probably
a
not.
very dangerous situation.
Yeah, they don't have enough of a lead to do that.
Yeah, and remember, it's still southeast, the wind, which it does favor when closing into each other, the Krakens will close faster because they will be perfectly aligned with the wind, whereas the Marines will have like half wind. It'll be good, but it won't be great. They're starting to open
shooting each other, but I don't think they're in range. They're very far out of range. Several boat lengths, at least 3 boat lengths. All right, but this has been some interesting starting maneuvers, at least for us.
Well, I think
probably not so interesting for the people on the ships, but
no, I mean we're not seeing any damage.
No, I do like how much they're firing, even though they're nowhere near.
They're getting a little closer. They're getting a little closer. This is great though because, again, for the Marines, this is what we needed to see from them. We needed to see some kind of a fake out in the beginning. So.
I like the Marines' formation now as well.
It is good. It is good to have that 13 gun a little reserved. I hope that they keep it that way. The biggest mistake that they can make against the Krakens, who are a good artillery team, is to let that 13 gun get caught and get hit by the entire enemy fleet. If that happens, it doesn't matter. All this preliminary stuff is going to be for nothing. And I think
looks like we're heading towards the south of the map now. I mean, I don't think no one's going to take that channel. Obviously,
no.
So I guess we're heading towards the bottom.
Yeah, and that's where this is going to play out.
All right.
Now I've
repositioned. No one has got any points. No one has got any points so far.
Nothing's happened yet.
Nothing. Well, plenty has happened, just not nothing action.
But remember, viewers, the fleet maneuvering. Oh, we've got our first hits on the flagship, probably from the Marines' flagships, Carronade, the long-distance cannon at the front of the 13-gun. Viewers, even though you're not seeing a lot of fire exchange and actually being hit here, you've got to make sure that you're learning as you watch the NSL that these fleet maneuvers are what it's all about. It's how they set their crews up for victory or defeat here. And the Marines, though it looks like they've just kind of avoided things and run, they have set themselves up for an even battle when the terrain and the wind did not lend themselves to that battle, and so they have to be congratulated early on.
But now, though, like, okay, what do you do as the Marines now? I mean, if you keep on this course, I mean, the Krakens are already almost at the next channel, and the Marines are no way near.
So to draw a little bit on the overhead of just reposition, they're turning. Look,
the Marines are turning. Or they're doing something.
I think they're gonna just. Oh, I don't know. Let's hold on before I start drawing.
They're flipping their fleet. I think, except the first one. It doesn't seem okay. Now he's got the memo.
They are flipping their fleet.
Interesting.
This is now.
That's a good
now
move.
We're getting into
because yeah.
Now we're getting into a little bit of too much caution here. There was no reason that battle couldn't happen where they were going. Both teams were flipping. Okay. Okay, guys. Well, now we're at a point where, again, we have two teams that do not seem to want to engage each other except for on the most advantageous of circumstances. But the problem is advantageous circumstances come from aggression. They do not always come. Like, with the Marines in the beginning, which was negate the advantage of the enemy team, very smart. What they're doing now, which is saying, we'll just wait until the Krakens give us an opportunity, that is never going to work. Because they've now turned back into bad wind.
I don't dislike, but I think they're going to keep turning and go through one of those channels now. I think that's their plan.
It seems to
and
be
get
like
to the northern position.
They're just doing figure eights in their spawn.
Sure, but I understand. I'll have to defend the Marines here. I don't think going to that southern position, the KRN sort of be right on top of them there, and they don't have a lot of room to maneuver. Mm-hmm. If they can pull this turn off nicely and get up to the northern position there, at the top of the map, by the blue symbol. That's probably their plan right now. The thing is, the KRN, the thing is that the Marines are past their spawn at the wall, and I don't know if they'll actually make it because the KRN is heading that way too. They might actually beat them there.
All right, I want to call some attention to what is probably being shown to our audience right now, which is a gunboat duel.
Gunboat battle, yeah,
that is happening.
Check that out.
You can just see people slaughtering each other. Very exciting.
Yeah, it seems pretty even so far. Oh, cannon blown up on the French team, which is...
Oh, and there's another one.
Another blown up. Ooh.
So it seems that the Marines...
Just a reminder, the French team, the Marines are the French team, right?
Yes, and I believe that they have lost that gunboat duel.
They've both lost.
Both of the Marine guns are what we would call their cannons are destroyed. Their main cannon looks like it's destroyed, but they're not sunk, which is actually the worst of all worlds because you want your gunboat to sink once it loses its main cannon because if it stays up, you can't go to your next one and pull it out. You have to stay in this.
They can't. Is that against the rules? They can't just say like, screw this. We're taking the next one.
I would have to look, but I think it needs to be sunk. Once you occupy it, you need to stay occupying it until it's sunk.
Right. Okay. I'm not.
Yeah. It's definitely the intention of the rules. I can't speak to the wording of it. It's been a long time since I've wrote them. So.
Listen, Lemerc doesn't know the rules.
Yeah, Lemerc made the rules. He doesn't know the rules. Everybody's just playing. No, I mean, listen, I'm a flawed individual. God knows my rules have some holes in them, but we'll try to tighten them up if we find them.
All right, so let's have... Okay, that seems like the KRN won that exchange, and still not a lot happening elsewise.
Yeah, so now I think the Krakens are feeling emboldened to close in.
Yeah, no.
These passes. I think knowing that they don't have any gunboats to deal with is going to really take the heat off of them here. If I was the Kraken's gunboats, I would just say, screw it. Let these gunboats. Don't kill the gunboats. Just let them stay, and then just immediately swing around and start harassing that 13 gun at the lead of the Marines line and disrupt. Because right now, any team that gets disrupted is going to give the other team the opportunity to set up on them, and the Marines are, I think, in the most dangerous spot here. Their fleet is not arrayed for battle. They are still pointed at the enemy, right? So their line. Let's do a little drawing.
And they've got the 13 gun, and you were saying a few minutes ago that they had a nice line set up with the 13 gun set off, but that's sort of gone now.
That's gone now. So
now it's a race. It's a race for this channel now, basically.
It's a race.
Honestly, the Marines should turn.
They have to turn in and fire through this channel, right? So the Krakens have to turn this way, the Marines have to turn this way, and the fire will commence through this zone here, and we will see. I think
really don't like that the Marines having their 13 on the front here is what might doom them if it goes badly for them here.
This is the last moment where the Marines can stop that 13 gun and let some 8 guns get ahead, and they're going to regret it if they don't.
They're doing the opposite, actually.
I don't know what's going on here. I mean,
okay, they're stopping, but
this is
not good. I mean, they're probably still out of range from those KRN ships.
If they turn port side here, that would be very interesting. A port side turn from their whole fleet,
That
but
might
just
be what
sitting
they're
here,
trying to do.
I do not understand.
I mean, are they reverse turning? They might be.
Very slowly.
Very slowly. I think they might be very slowly reverse turning.
I maybe my perspective is a little skewed because the island does seem to be giving them cover right now.
Yeah. I'm not sure they're in range of at least of the lead. Guns.
The lead 13 gun is slowly turning left for the Marines. I think they are going to try and cut behind. That is a maneuver I can really get behind.
Yeah, but they should have done that a little earlier.
Yeah,
but it's they seem to still be relatively safe.
Yeah, they're trying to turn that lead 13 gun.
Are they hitting that 13 gun or not? That's the question. I think
they are, but barely.
They are now, but
barely. I'm a little confused by how this is going out. To be honest with you, I'm a little confused by it. I don't know what the 13 gun wants to do at this point.
I mean, the Marines have lost. I mean, I think they are. Are they splitting?
It's certainly possible that the 13 gun is going to try and cut around behind.
This is a bad idea. Splitting against the wind is
the timing is not going to be right. The timing's not going to be right here, I think.
Well, they are splitting.
The 8 guns are going to get so much more into this battle before the 13 gun does.
Oh yeah,
I hope that the 13 gun he's turned starboard and he just comes at the rear. I hope that's what he's doing.
I mean, that's what he's going to do, but he doesn't really have the wind to do it, right? Because that would be right against the wind, and the KRN will be already halfway across the map by the time he gets there.
This is a wild maneuver. I'll be honest with you. This is a wild maneuver to have this 13 gun going in the exact opposite direction.
I mean, look at the KRN. They're set up nicely. They got all their ducks in a row, and the Marines are.
And they got half wind.
Well, they're really split. They're really splitting. Yeah, they've got half wind. They're gonna go around there. They're gonna pick off those gunboats probably pretty easily in a second.
Yeah, this is a moment where I just don't see how the Marines 13 gun is going to get into this battle.
No, it's not. It's going literally the wrong way. The battle's going to take place in the northeast here in a second, and he's heading southwest, so literally in the opposite direction where the battle's about to take place.
And there's no way to call this a mistake. This was deeply intentional on his part.
Yeah, that was. I mean, they made the call there. They ran out. I mean, I wasn't against their defensive moves here, but they seem to run out of ideas a little bit here, and okay, he's stopping at least. Interesting if he's able to hit those ships. So yeah, those like I said, those okay, the Marines are getting some nice shots off on the ships coming through that channel there, but I don't think it's going to be enough once the KRN gets properly into position.
The Marines are. Another thing to note is that the Marines are losing the gunboat battle, and that is going to affect them towards the end of this. But that 13 gun has absolutely got to get into this battle immediately, and it is just not. It's just so slow.
Splitting your fleet, for those watching, is, I mean, I'm generally against it, but especially against if you don't have the wind, because now it's going to be very slow for him to get back where he wants to go.
The Marines need to start focusing fire on that 13 gun immediately. Those 8 guns need to turn into that 13 gun. The only victory condition that they have here is to hammer that 13 gun, and then for their 13 gun to swing around, and then get it to finish off the Kraken's 13 gun.
That's the question if they are able to do that. But now that the KRN's going to have their full fleet, I mean, with the 13 gun on them plus gunboats against this here, the Marines are outgunned here. No matter what they do,
if they can hold without taking a tremendous amount of damage, because what we've learned is you can sacrifice 1, even 2 8 guns if you take out the enemy 13 gun. But the Marines need to be shooting at that 13 gun now, actually a minute ago, and they're completely not doing that.
They're not. No, they're tunnel visioned on the.
They're going to lose an 8 gun, and they're going to get nothing for it. Well, not nothing, because they have damaged some 8 guns, but they're damaging 2 8 guns at the same time. It's just a lack of focus.
I think their second 8 gun there is very heavily damaged. It's dropping very quickly.
It's just getting worse and worse.
And this is a disaster for the Marines.
Again, if that 13 gun could just, first of all, it's got to go full sail. I don't know what's going on.
Well, he's going against the wind. That's why he's.
He's got to get into a position where he can go full sail. He's got to get that north.
He needs to like turn right now, honestly, and not try and get to that other channel because it'll be too late by then.
Such a huge detour. Such a huge
just folks, don't split your fleet. Just don't.
I love splitting the fleet, but it is a matter of it's
wrong.
I mean, I've never done it. I love the idea of it.
Yeah, but I love other people doing it.
Well, I want to do it too. At some point in my Admiralty throughout this competition, I do want to do it, but it is
the first
a matter
of lose.
Yeah, probably. But the thing is, it requires such unbelievably good.
It requires win. I mean, the thing is, it's good. Yeah, if your enemy is like stuck up against a wall and you have the wind, but in that case, like anything you do is gonna be good. Like, if your enemy's in a terrible position and can't move, then it's not a bad idea. But I mean, then you've already won, basically. Oh yeah, there goes the first 8-gun, predictably, of the Marines. Yeah. Do you hear me?
I do.
Okay, sorry.
We can hear you just fine. Sorry, I'm just watching. I'm waiting.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm waiting for this 13 gun to come in and save the day because that's what it's got to do here.
Unlikely. I mean, they're totally unpunished. The KRN 13 gun. They're not even focusing an 8 gun. The Marines aren't even focused. They've split their fire between the first 2 8 guns.
That is, I think, the cardinal sin. We do have a report of the second 8-gun in the Kraken's fleet has just had a double cannon explosion a little while back. I'm sure some of you guys watching it saw it. So that's great. This is not in a situation.
Now they're coming in. Now the 13-gun is coming in.
This is not a situation where the Marines cannot pull through on this. They do have a good angle here. If they're the question is, can their 13-gun hit the enemy 13-gun? They really need to.
They're moving ahead. Look, they're leaving their last 2 ships there to deal with the 13-gun, and they're moving the other ones ahead.
Unfortunately, they're about.
I don't see the Marines 13-gun fire. Okay, now it's fine.
Yeah. The problem is that the Marines have spent too long to do this maneuver, and they're going to be down to a 13-gun and 2 8-guns, and one gunboat and 2 rocket boats.
That one 8-gun that's being hit by the Marines 13-gun, he's just moving. He's going to return fire in the 13-gun.
All you got to do is delay it.
Exactly, and they've got 2 gunboats and an 8-gun dealing with the Marines 13-gun, while the Krakens just sink. Look, they've actually moved a damaged 8-gun away. They're not focusing their fire as well as you'd think, the Krakens right now, but they'll get there.
Well, we've got 2 ships down on the Marine side, so I mean, at this point, it is a matter of just attrition. Attrition. I think that the Krakens can win by just pure attrition.
Yeah. Now
the Marines absolutely need to sink the 13-gun, and it is again a criminal error in judgment that they have not focused fire on the 13-gun until now, and still are not. Basically, I mean,
they're also blocking each other. They're blocking each other now.
Yeah, it's
very not looking good for the Marines here at all. They haven't.
Their 13-gun needs to get in. The thing is, right now, this is an even battle, insofar as the Krakens have removed their 2 damaged 8-guns from the battle. So this is a 3v3 firefight. They're not that.
They're only half damaged.
No, and that's why reserving them for the end game is a great idea.
It's great. Yeah, they're going to come around and fight again in a second.
Again,
they probably lost a lot of cannons.
I don't know why, but one of the 8-guns on the Marines is leaving the combat.
He probably doesn't have any cannons on the port side.
Yeah, he may not. He may not.
I'm sure that's why. Yeah.
This is still vaguely in the state where it could be turned around because of the power of the 13-guns. But this Marines 13-gun is just not firing at the ship it needs to fire at. It needs to fire at the 13-gun.
Is now turning to fire at the Marines 13-gun, I think.
Yeah, because they have priorities.
They're doing it now. And they still keep on firing at that other 8-gun, so they're not totally. Probably their carronades probably still firing at that because it doesn't have.
And the Krakens can afford to sacrifice this 8-gun that's tying up the Marines 13-gun.
It's still there. It's still bloody there.
It's going to go down, no doubt.
Yeah,
but in doing so, it's going to spare the Kraken's 13 gun from taking a broadside from the Marine's 13 gun.
is now actually taking proper damage. It's I don't think they've lost any. I don't think they've
Not
lost
too
any
much damage,
yet.
but they're being hit by 3 ships right now.
Yeah, but they will start taking. They've lost their sideboardings now, and that's when you really start taking the heat.
There's one, right? I think I saw a cannon pop in the 13 gun. Either way, they're taking a pretty sizable broadside. Getting a report, the Marines rockets are landing really nicely against that 8 gun, which you can see that's the 8 gun that's pressed up against the islands. It's getting slammed by rockets. You can see that. Yeah, it's sunk. Now, hopefully, look what the Krakens have done. Look at the beauty of this. Okay, they took ships out of the battle. They repositioned them, and now they're back. And there are going to be 4 ships broadsiding the Marines 13 gun. It is a thing of absolute beauty how they have micromanaged their fleet, and now they are going to obliterate.
Oh wow! Look at these shots now coming on this 13 gun. Yeah, it's very.
And the Marines have what? One 13 gun in the battle right now, basically, and an 8 gun firing. Still no fire at the Kraken's 13 gun. So that at this point.
Not even the carronade. Not even.
This is the ball game. This is it. It's over. It's over. The Marines are going to lose, and they're going to lose for 2 reasons. They're going to lose because that calamitous move by the 13 gun to take itself out of the battle for about 2 or 3 minutes, and
more.
Their lack of concentration on the 13 gun, because I believe that if the Marines had focused their 8 guns fire when they were separated, if they had focused all 8 gun fire at the enemy 13 gun and said, we're going to lose as many 8 guns as we're going to lose, but our 13 gun's going to come in here and we're going to wreck the enemy 13 gun and then going to sweep the other 8 guns, that is a strategy that could have come back from this. But now it's gone.
They're sunk. They're done.
And it was,
this has been a disaster for the Marines.
That was from like
say that, but.
That was from like 75% HP to nothing in the space of about a minute. So you're really seeing here how the strong Kraken fleet management and their consistency is winning against, unfortunately, poorly timed maneuvers from the Marines. And it's a shame.
The Carrions have outmaneuvered them. They've outshot them. They've kept their cool. The Marines are still just a little bit in the wilderness here. They really need to start rethinking their approach.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to say that. It's a harsh.
No,
it is what it is.
You've got to recognize it here because the Marines had this really good first half where they avoided the traps.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. But then they I don't know what happened. They lost patience or they ran out of ideas. I mean, maybe this was the idea from the whole time to try and lead them around on a goose chase, but.
We have to talk about the admirals here because Kieran's was in that 13 gun, and it was the 13 gun that was supposed to be like the piece de resistance of that like maneuver that they were doing, that split fleet maneuver. So, this is not captains messing up a thing. This is the admiral saying, "This is our strategy. This is what we're gonna do now. I'm gonna break off, and I'll catch up with you later." And in the meantime, I think absent of his attention to the battle because he's somewhere else, he's not able to say to his crew, guys, you need to focus fire on the 13 because that's the sweet spot that I'm going to get there. Instead, you have 8 guns firing from the Marines at 2 different targets. And so you're not reducing enemy firepower because you're not sinking ships. You're losing ships. And then when the 13 gun comes, it gets tangled up by an 8 gun. And so, this is a real moment where we can see an admiral made a decision and it really didn't work. And it's a shame.
The moment to do this was when they were heading south, right?
Yes,
and then,
when you had maneuverability.
Then you could have made, it wouldn't have been my plan, but you could have split the 13 gun off and try to get behind them and then try and fight in the south there or something. You could have done something like that. But when they were heading against, they do it when they'd done that flip and then heading back against the wind. That's just not a good decision.
A split when you have no wind is just such a
disaster. Don't do it, folks. Just don't do it.
But we could talk about, there is a way it could have been done. The 8 guns could not have continued to go north-northeast. They have to hold in position. They'd have to stay there.
Yeah.
Bring the Krakens to you. And then
that's what it seemed like they wanted to do the whole match, was to sort of play defensively and have the Krakens come to you, but then they just didn't really. I mean, when it then happened, when the Krakens decided to you go through the channel, the Marines just weren't there where they should have been.
We've got a boarding action going on from the Marines.
In the
on
meantime,
the flagship.
the Marines are down to 1 8 gun, and the Krakens did lose the second one. To be fair, and they've lost almost all of their, all but one boat, one rocket ship. The Marines.
We've got boarding parties. I just want to interrupt you. We've got boarding parties on the 13 gun and the 8 gun. I mean, is it going to change anything? No, but it certainly is going to be fun to watch for our viewers. This 8 gun, this last Marines 8 gun.
They want to take down that.
Yeah, and I think they can take down.
Yep. Yeah, could be possible, but I
mean, I don't know what's happened, but it looks like the 13 gun, the Marines 13 gun has been slammed into a wall.
Yes.
Borders are crashing into the Kraken's 13 gun into the wall. This is amazing. This is the kind of stuff that we needed in the mid game. It's a shame that so many of these amazing boarding parties do not happen until the batch is functionally decided. It's such a shame because a move like this obliterates the Krakens in the middle of the game. Buying time for your 13 gun to get in, doing something really exciting like that.
But there was no way that was going to happen. They were nice and snug between their 8 guns. There was, I mean, there was not really an opportunity for them. So have they lost that? No, the one KRN 8 gun is still floating. Surprisingly,
it is. It's going to be gone any second, but it looks like the Marines are going to avoid a full fleet wipe here, just because of the incredible work of that boarding party. So kudos to the Marines crews and their captains and whoever is on that 13 gun right now.
Like now they've crossed the T on that 8 gun and it's just sitting there. I don't really know why. Is it because of boarding as well?
I think they're going to focus fire on the ship they think.
They're focus fire on that one, yeah.
So I don't blame them for doing that. You want to take it down, and you still got half a ship. There it is.
So yeah, it's down. It's down.
Swing starboard, ignore that 8 gun, and slam into that 13 gun a little bit and punish them for whipping you today. I mean, listen, this is a capital ships. This is a very close battle, insofar as two Kraken ships to 1 Marine ship.
But the thing is that a fully untouched KRN 13 gun.
Exactly. The issue is...
the other one's also untouched. I mean, the other 8 gun is also untouched. Plus, they basically lost almost all of their gunboats, which is going to be a lot. Which doesn't count as the capital ships, but it will count a lot of points.
It will. That's true.
And it has... Oh, yeah, that's down now. So now it's about 50-50 if this ship will survive here.
I think it's going to run.
Yeah, but there's a KRN gunboat next to him.
Yeah, I think he's got to deal with these gunboats, if any. There's a gunboat off at starboard. I mean, I think it's just going to sit. It's going to sit in the channel. It's going to fire off starboard. It's going to fire off port. It's going to try and do some damage.
It's about 50-50 if this will go down or not. I think they can do it.
50-ish seconds left on the clock. I think they're gonna make it.
I think they're gonna do it.
It depends on if that 13 gun gets a nice broadside.
That 13 gun carronade could do it.
No, a lot of misses from the Krakens. They need to hit. They really want in the last 30 seconds to sink the ship, and they certainly can. But they've got that 13 gun's got to turn in now. It's got to turn in right now, and rip a broadside that hits.
Come on, let's see. That gunboat is turning around very slowly.
It's so close.
Oh,
I think
come on, one shot.
I think in these last
I think they can do it.
I think these last 15 seconds, the 13 gun broadside could do it.
The gunboat, come on, the gunboat. Do it. Oh, no, the 8 gun.
5 seconds. 13 gun broadside.
Come on, gunboat, fire your bloody gun.
Oh, they got it. They got it last second. They got it. In the very last second, they got it.
Jesus.
So, 34,877 to 19,171. A sizable victory for the Krakens.
Oregon.
Sinking in the very last second every single one of the Marine ships.
Coach.
I liked this battle a lot. I think
that was fun.
I was pretty hard though I was on the Marines at the end. I think they put up a really good fight against a really strong team. And it's just a shame because I truly do believe that they could have won this one based off of the beginning half for them.
Absolutely. I was impressed by the beginning. I thought they had something going on. They had some kind of plan, but then it
Yeah.
just sort of fell
The
apart a little bit.
the issue is that I think they got so I think they were satisfied with how the beginning went because they did not fall into those pit traps of having bad wind. And then despite that, then they decided like, okay, well, we've got it. We got an even battle here. Now let's really screw them up with this really amazing fleet strategy. And the really amazing fleet strategy was not good. It did not
Yeah,
work.
it was not good.
Um, and that is a shame because I think this was really we've seen this not just this one but last week's as well. I think these are battles that you really could have been won if not for just a little switch, just a little one thing different. And in this one, it was just not taking that 13 gun around, and obviously that's going to be the big question to ask for Kieran's when he
Yeah,
gets in here.
what the thought there was.
What was going on, and what did he think that was going to get him, and did he think the timing was going to be right? Um, for the Krakens, this is just another great victory,
Yeah,
and it really
just
cements them as the number 2 team in the league.
absolutely. I
Really
mean, they
cements them.
didn't look frazzled at any moment, really. They just, they waited for the Marines to do their little maneuvers, and then once they saw a good opportunity, they went in. And I mean, it's what we would have done too. They really, they did a great job. No notes,
I think
really.
they did great. They did spectacular. That said, I mean, we also have to admit, even though they were very healthy at the end, the Kraken fleet was whittled down to 2 ships.
It was, but they didn't. They only lost 2 gunboats the
True,
whole time,
true.
and
And
they
that's
were fighting in the enemy spawn. So the Marines did throw literally every single boat at them that they could.
yeah.
Which does actually add up over time, just from pure damage.
Yeah, if you're gonna win,
Um,
if you have advantage, you want to be in the enemy spawn because you're just
yeah,
gonna
sure,
take out all of their gunboats and rocket boats
sure,
as soon as they
it's
get
good,
out.
but you do end up losing some more points than you and some more health than you would if you'd fought someone else, just because the distance.
Yeah, they're gonna deal more damage to you, but if you are confident that your team is gonna beat the other team,
Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna milk more points,
yeah,
and
absolutely. I mean, they did. They
that's
got a good 15,000 point advantage. I mean, very
yeah,
nice.
those gunboats, they really do
Um,
rack up the points. I again, I like this battle. It was closer than I thought it was going to be at the end. I mean, close is the wrong word for it. The amount of ships that got sunk, I think, was closer than I thought it was going to be from the Krakens. I think that they did lose a lot. Like they lost all of their ships that were kind of injured
yeah, I'd
at
have
the
to kind of
end.
look back and see exactly
But
what
to
was taking them out there. But yeah, I mean, we can be critical and say, oh, they should have been a bit more careful with those and maybe kept some back. But like I mean, the 13 gun didn't. I don't think it lost a single cannon, right?
no, if
But you
it
could
did, it
also
was maybe
criticize and
one.
say they should have been more aggressive with it. But yeah, it's kind of nitpicking at that point, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, the problem here is that I want to say it was close, but there's no way towards the end of that battle that the Krakens were thinking we might lose, right? Like
No,
that,
no
and so
way,
that's
no
the
way.
difference. It seems like right now we only have the Krakens for the interview here. So let's start with them, and we'll see if a rep comes for the Marines today, and if not, we'll maybe get a feedback from them another time. But let's talk to we have Killer Bow Guy and Percival Plod. Are I assume Admiral and Vice Admiral Percy? Were you Vice Admiral today?
No, I was not.
Oh, so you're
We had
just here to.
Wavy up in the sky for this
Oh,
one.
very
It
good.
was,
Well, the Wavies
very
are
nice.
Vice Admiral.
Percival was our 13-gun captain,
Aha, yes.
Okay. So you're here to
and
provide some
Wavy
on the
couldn't
ground
make it,
cover.
but he was the vice admiral.
Well, very nice. Gentlemen, congratulations on a great victory today. You
Thank
have
you.
truly secured your spot as the number 2 team in the league, and I foresee here a strong effort to be punching up for number 1, which I think is well within your capacity and battle strength here. This was an interesting battle. You guys started with the wind, but it didn't seem like the wind ended up being a particularly large factor in your opening engagements. The Marines did a really good job in the first half of really just not giving you the openings, even with the wind, to to, jump to any sort of advantage. And so we were looking at a rather slow start. And when we got into the battle, you guys pretty much had a good handle on the situation. So I don't have any specific questions for you, but tell us a little bit about your game plan going in and how it played out according to those expectations.
Go on, Killer, you
Well,
take that one.
the game plan was, since we had the benefit of the speed of the wind, we wanted to get in quick, get in first, and just block any opportunity they had to come into an island or pass around, because we saw that in like simulations and stuff, we were gonna beat them to the punch 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
And essentially just try to cross their T and just block the fleet. We also had the idea in mind that they could stay and spawn, or just sail around like they did, and just mirror them like we did as well, and just block them off if they did try to go through. They eventually stayed on their side, but they kind of stopped in like the middle-ish area of their spawn, and then we just went in, and then we their 13 gun split and stayed behind the islands, and we saw an opportunity to just ram full into the other 8 guns, because their 13 gun was basically non-active at that point.
Yep. All right. Very good. Baboof, do you have any questions for our victorious admirals here?
Trying to think. Not really, because you guys did everything pretty much by the book, and what,
Yeah, it was a really
what I
good
would have
performance.
basically have done. Trying to
I
think.
think my
Well,
question
how
for
was your?
you.
What,
Go ahead.
oh, I
Go
had a
ahead.
question. Like, how was your like? What was your thinking with the wounded 8 guns? Because we saw we saw you peel them off at one point. Your half damaged 8 guns, but then you did end up bringing them in. They did end up getting sunk. Was that deliberate? That you say like, right, we're just going to go in and sink as much as we can, or was that just sort of
They
evolved as the
lost
battle
all
went?
their starboard side cannons. The
I
captains
figured.
told and since we outnumbered them, we said, okay, try and turn around so you get those cannons back in. Like, we were confident that we could just. They had 1 cannon left, I think, both of them on the starboard side. Percy, do you
Yeah.
remember? I think 1.
Yes, I think it was 1 or 2
And-
on one ship and then 1 on the other.
And we said, okay, before the other 13 gun comes back in, try and turn around so we get full cannons again. So it was more
And
or
this-
less get more firepower back into the game.
And this is also under the cover of me on the 13 with literally no cannons lost at all by this point. I barely
Yeah.
took a scratch in
I mean,
this-
the whole
in
battle
that
you barely took a
engagement.
swing.
Did you lose?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
last time I checked, I don't think you lost a single one. Did you?
No, I
I'm
don't think we
sure,
lost an entire cannon the entire match, which kind of left us in the position of, well, if we can let the 8 guns lose their cannons, but give me still all of mine on the broadside, we still outnumber whichever ship we fight 2 to 3 cannons to 1.
That's
or
right.
2-3 cannons extra in every engagement.
Yeah.
And we just managed to then get the rest of the fleet to focus on the one that we designated the target, basically, and they kind of just went from there.
Yeah, your focus fire was really, really good today, and it really made the difference, I think. Not to mention that you had
sinking that
sort of
13 gun.
Go ahead. Oh, all right.
Sorry, I just say the 13 gun. I mean, I was just the example. The Marines 13 gun. How quickly it just withered under your fire was remarkable to see. I mean,
And it was beautiful to see. One of the trends we're really starting to see in the league, which I'm loving, is that fleet micromanagement where you pull ships off the line and reposition them, especially when they're damaged or the broadside isn't working as efficiently as you wanted it to. You don't have the guns anymore, right? We saw. I think the first time we saw that was with the Jackals and that amazing victory that they had, and then we're seeing it more and more throughout the league. The teams are learning that if you have a ship that's kind of beat up, just get it out of there. You'll use it later.
I mean, the Marines did too, but they were just so outnumbered at that point that it didn't really end up helping
Especially
them.
since the health in NSL is so different. So
Yes.
in normal events, if your cannons were gone, your ship was gone. But in NSL, if your cannons are gone, your ship might still be full health. Like, it's way different circumstances. So
Yeah, you definitely can have a second life later in the battle, basically. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for your perspective, and
Congratulations.
and congratulations, great
Thank you.
victory, another one to add to a stellar record so far.
And
in the NSL.
thanks for the good match,
great
Marines.
job.
Yes. All right. So
No problem.
we have a rep here. We have Seaman from 85th BV, one of the component teams of the Marines, here to speak on behalf of his fleet. Sorry for your loss today, but tell us a little bit about. I think the crux of the action today, the deciding moment, was the 13 gun breaking off and going for that very roundabout way to try and get, I guess, a split fleet maneuver. What was you? First of all, Seaman, were you a captain today?
Yes, I was the last remaining 8 gun.
Oh yeah, that was a hell of a final stand that you guys put out there, and a great boarding action from you guys on their 13 gun towards the end. So yeah, tell us a little bit about what it was like being a captain in that moment, having those 8 guns kind of on their own, fighting the entire Kraken fleet, and then hoping and praying that 13 gun was going to come in time to change the trajectory of the battle. What was it? What was that like for you?
It was fine. We were since the increased health, we were not really worried about losing too much ship health before the 13 came along. It just was a little too slow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like we were like, okay, we can stall for like a minute while the 13 gun repositions around and just starts raking every ship.
Yeah.
But it didn't turn out that way. The 13 gun was a little too slow at getting behind the fleet.
It was a bold maneuver, a risky maneuver. And the thing about a maneuver like that, which is what we were talking about during the stream, is it's all a matter of timing. It's all a matter of timing. And so if you get the timing right, that could have been a huge coup, right? Like you could have gotten in there, caught behind their line, hit them from 2 different angles, and your 8 guns, maybe they're down a little bit, but they're not out. But by the time the 13 gun arrived, not only were some of your 8 guns already sunk, but then it got tied up fighting a lone 8 gun, which it needed to, because if it didn't fight that lone 8 gun and it turned towards the enemy 13 gun, it would be getting hit in the rear by that 8 gun. So the Krakens really set up the perfect sort of trap for that maneuver, because of course they had a long time to see it coming. And so that was tough, but I kind of, I'm of 2 minds about it. I love bold maneuvers, but of course the wind and the
I
timing.
think the biggest downside they had is that it was slow, and I was
Yeah,
the
it was
rear
a
8
little
gun, so I
slow.
couldn't see it. And like
Yeah,
the
we
whole
could not
maneuver,
see
you
you
were
at
blocked. The
all.
13 gun was blocked by the big island, so it was a
Yeah.
flat map. You could have like shot over, but the big islands really helped us defend our rear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
for
we didn't
Seaman, though,
see the rear 8 gun break off to protect the fleet, and that would have been part of the maneuver if we recognized that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was this always the plan, though, that you were going to be like, okay, we're going to sail back and forth and then wait for an
Oh,
opportunity to
no.
split up? Or was this just spontaneous?
The original plan was we were going to go the opposite side of wherever you guys went, because we were fighting against the wind the entire game while you guys had the wind. So our plan was, if we go north and they choose anything else, we will still beat them going all the way around to their side, and then we'll have the wind. But it didn't turn out that way. You guys were able to beat us to any position on the map before us. And so that's why we turned around, and then you guys beat us again. And then we're like, shoot. So then we had to reform a plan on the spot when we were back at spawn, and it was split off. They'll come for us, the 8 guns, and then the 13 come behind and rakes.
I mean, it was a solid thing that you guys did. Like first sail up the bad wind, then turn around in like the protection of the area, and then get wind advantage. It was a sound move, but
that was the great part. That was actually the
we were
really
already
good part.
inside. Yeah, it was a really good move, but we were already inside the island, so we had the benefit of like we can just block any channel if we wanted to. So
yeah, you also had way more turning space than us.
Yeah. I mean, we had that same condition last week against the Royal Black Fleet, where we were on the outside with the wind against us, and we know it's a tricky environment to pull out any maneuver if the enemy is so quick.
Yeah, and it really necessitates a defensive mindset from the team that doesn't have the win, and it has to be less about how do we attack the enemy, and it's more about where do we predict the enemy is going to attack us, and how do we make it so that when they go there, when they get there, we're set up defensively. And I thought that the thing that I really praise the Marines for is that evasion, and like basically forcing the Krakens to, like, not allowing the Krakens to just get an advantage on you, cut behind you somewhere with the wind, right? There was never a moment in this battle where the Krakens utilized the wind to get advantageous position over the Marines. The way this battle got handled is just by one of the ships getting taken out of the rotation, and then the Krakens just raining fire down on the remaining ships. But it wasn't that the Krakens like cut behind the fleet, got anything crazy like that. And I think that has to be attributed to the Marines' very defensive positioning and their ability to say, this is not a good spot for us to do battle. We're getting the hell out of here. And the thing that I was confused by is why. Okay, so we have the beginning of the battle. The teams kind of go north. The Marines decide we're not going to go north. We're going to go south. They turn around and then they start going south. Then the Krakens go south. Why did the battle not happen in the south? They were not. I think the Marines had a situation where they could have easily set up a defensive line. And if the Krakens came around, that defensive line would be perfectly there to receive them, and you would have still had basically a line battle. So what was the feelings, Seaman, when you saw them coming? Like you said earlier, you thought that they were going to get there before you. If you guys turned out and just pointed your cannons towards where the Krakens were going to appear when they came around that southmost island, I think you could have had a good shot at hitting them pretty hard. So what stopped you from setting up a defensive position there?
On the south side, they were already at the corner of the island when we got there. And so if we were to proceed forward, they would have first shots at us.
Not forward. I mean, just turn your cannons into rotation. Basically, they're going to come that way, and then you guys just turn your starboard side cannons in, and you just let them come. And so because that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought the battle was going to happen in the south because you both had pretty good wind, you had maneuverability, you both got there relatively similar times. Like they were going to come around that island before you, sure, but there's no reason for you to meet them at the corner of the island, but instead just hold a defensive position there. But in the end, you decided like, no, we're not even going to go close to there. We're just going to leave. And so when you leave, what's the next step? What was your next thought? Okay, we're leaving the south side. We're going to hit them where? I guess is my question.
Okay, after the south side maneuver, our plan was, let's see how far we can get away from them before we can set up a position. And we were able to set up a position and a plan. It just didn't work out. It was just at our spawn.
Okay, cool. Baboof, any last questions for our 8th PV rep?
Sure. Like, what do you guys have? I'm sorry to say it, but you guys have come off of had a bit of a losing streak here. Is there any takeaways you want to have from this battle, or things lessons learned, or things you want to do differently?
Well, our main goal is to have fun, which is what we're doing.
That's good.
That's great.
So, takeaways, more of us being able to maneuver our fleet in a quicker manner. Like if to reorganize a line more quicker would probably be our biggest setback. Other than that, I think all our cannons are good at firing. I think we're pretty good at coming up with a plan. It's just that us executing a plan is falling a little short.
Fair enough.
All right. Well,
we're
wishing the best for you.
We look forward to seeing you guys more, refining your style, and continuing to have fun, which we are very glad to hear that you guys are. With that, folks, we are going to end the broadcast here. Make sure to stay tuned. We'll have more battles for you to come, and at some point in the future, I will host a ward room in which I will have to analyze like 8 battles, so that should be fun to watch me stress and sweat all about that. I want to thank everybody who helped put this together. Of course, I want to thank our admirals for competing and their crews for putting their all out there and doing a great job. Win or lose, these crews are the best that you can get in Holdfast, and they really show it every week. Even if the team loses, moments like that amazing boarding action at the end and the amazing gunboat battles really show the sheer talent that these teams bring to bear here. And we are so grateful for every crewman out there and every admiral and every captain for keep coming back and entertaining our viewers and providing great competition all around. Of course, we want to thank guys who are setting up all of our mercenaries and doing the hard work of getting this thing organized. Our directors and of course our correspondents and you, Baboof. Thank you so much for co-hosting with me. It's always a
Thank
pleasure
you.
to
It
have
was
you.
a lot of fun.
We do tend to talk over each other like two giddy school children during this thing, but that is
Too
exactly
many opinions.
that is exactly because the two of us are so damn excited about all this. So hopefully,
Atticus needs to mute. He's got to put a mute button on us.
he really does need to be able to just
turn
mute
us
us
off. Like,
just one at a time.
Bye.
We hope our joy for this this league is as infectious as it is probably annoying to listen to sometimes, and we will see you all on future broadcasts. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you on the next one, everybody.